Good morning, world. Good morning. Peace and love. Today I'm doing a continuation of something I told you or discussed about a few weeks ago maybe. And it has something to do with my former high school, which is Booker High School. So I'm going to get straight to the nuts and bolts of everything. And you're going to find out a lot about everything. It is a little just under 5:30 in the morning, this lovely Tuesday morning. And I had a little issue with sleeping because something was on my brain that was actually affecting my son, little Michael. And that's where I step in, as every parent should, as every teacher should, as every law enforcement officer should, as every person that cares should. So let me get right back to what I was talking about before, about being people that you can trust or people that you should limit your trust in. Now, it's your decision. What happens after this is your decision. However, I want to let you know what's going on at my former high school. Okay. So let's give you a little points to connect the dots, and then I'll get into the meat of some. My son will be entering his 4th year of a certain program at Booker High School, which is in the VPA, Visual Performing Arts. You know, you have dance, you have drawing, you have theatrical production, you have band, you have different areas. Digital film and motion design. So that's where I'm gonna pick up digital film and motion design. For now, they've changed the name to film and animation. Okay, so on the first day of school, we get a syllabus that came home. And part of the syllabus, okay, everybody understands what a syllabus is. You sign it. Well, what we do in this household, we read it. We read it. Because there's some things that are put in a syllabus that you might question, and then you talk to a teacher about. There are some things that are added to a syllabus that you will not agree with. So what happened in this instance with his film class, something was attached to the syllabus, not stapled attached to it, but some kind of wittingly, this is where the syllabus stops, where you sign as a parent and your student. And there's something that they added on to the syllabus just below. Okay? Just below, and also on the back. I don't know many people that do 2 sides on the paper anymore unless you're trying to hide something. But fast forward. So on Tuesday, when my son returned this actual, along with the syllabus, back to the school, it was actually, the teacher said, no, you hold on to that. Simply because there was this portion that wasn't signed. We signed the syllabus. That's this portion up towards the top. Okay, right up towards the top. It says, acknowledgement form. I have read the course syllabus and agreed to abide by it. That's that section. That's what I just read was this, and that's that section. Okay? What is added to it is not part of the syllabus. Okay, now here we go with the fun stuff. So there were weeks and weeks and weeks of my son being denied access to things because the teacher said my son didn't have his syllabus, didn't turn his syllabus in, which is very untrue. So let me just keep on going. And I, as a parent, as a concerned parent for my child at Booker High School, I decided to reach out to the district. And I requested a meeting with Booker High School and someone from the district. The reason why I requested a meeting with someone from the district, because I didn't trust Booker High School anymore. There was weeks building up. There was several things that I have, but I brought it out in that meeting. Okay, that meeting had the film teacher in there, John Tempe. I requested that Lori Burton be a part of it because she's actually a film and animation head, so she needed to be abreast on what's going on. Rachel Shelley was in there. That's the principal of Booker High School. I requested that Miss Abrahamson be there, but I think she had some kind of travel, that she was some travel, and I requested that somebody be there from the district. because I didn't trust how certain things might have been handled. That's my right as a parent. Make sure all parties are aware of what's going on, not just this two people tangled web that's trying to run a little game. Reason why I say it's a little game is because I want to read you this little game that's been run on these kids at Booker High School. This little game goes like this. This is what was put on this form. This form says, and I quote, "This is a work for hire / assignment of copyright. Those that are designers, those that are musicians, those that are any kind of artist, think about what I just said." I'm going to read to you exactly what this work for hire / assignment of copyright agreement actually states, so you know exactly what I won't sign, why I won't sign it, and the details in it that you might not know. I, blank, for good and valuable consideration, receipt of which is hereby acknowledged, agree that the works described below are works made for hire as defined by the copyright laws of the United States and the School Board of Sarasota County, Florida, which is represented by schools in here. As the entity for whom the works are prepared shall own all right, title, and interest in the works. To the extent the works are not deemed work for hire or work made for hire, I irrevocably assign and transfer to school and its affiliates and assign in perpetuity all rights, titles, and interests in and to the copyright, including any registrations and copyright applications and any renewals and extensions in the works. Now it goes on to define what the works mean, what they include. You'll find this very interesting. The works shall mean all photographs, videos, sound recordings, editings, artwork, design, images, scripts, text, performances, and other pictorial, graphic, or audiovisual works or parts of a motion picture, including any contributions, revisions, changes, or modifications related to my relationship / engagement with Booker High School and its film and, gotta flip over to the other side, animation projects. The work shall also include any future revisions, changes, enhancements, or derivative works hereafter made. The works shall constitute schools' property solely and completely. I'm going to repeat that one more time. The works shall constitute schools' property solely and completely, and the school may alter, enhance, modify, transfer, license, or sublicense the work at its sole discretion. Let me continue. School and its designees have the right to grant, license, or assign rights in the work for any and all purposes. I further agree to waive all so-called moral rights in the work. This is what Booker High School had these kids sign that was attached to the syllabus, and a little bit below, this thing was thrown in to sign here. Again, if you are a parent that just signs and won't read, they got you. Sad, but they got you. However, knowing this, you can request this documentation back and restore the rights to your son, your daughter, our students, and our kids. That's a fact. They go to school to learn. They go to school to be taught. They go to school to be educated, not stolen from. If they have a right, the creators upon creation, you have a right. So when you have legal jargon attached to something that is a high school program, I find it to be a problem. My background is in design. I have a degree in this house, my house, from Purdue University, where my field of study was in design, whether it was graphic design, architectural engineering, designs and layouts and rendering, did desktop publishing, animations, so on and so forth. Purdue University encourages you to. Everyone should encourage you to own your own creations, own your own work. Right here, this right here strips every child that is in that film class the rights of their own work. Okay? So let's fast forward. We're fast forwarding now. And this is what I was not going to sign. Okay? Not me. Wasn't going to happen. And knowing what I know, this was actually pretty laughable because it was work for hire. These kids are not getting paid. Now, if I work for Google and I came up with an algorithm for Google, I'm doing it at Google. Google gets paid. Google is paying me already. So I'm just doing my job. Okay? These kids are here to learn. These kids are here to learn. And so if they make something, who benefits from that? Not the kid. Not with this thing right here, because everything is stripped away. So ownership goes to somebody else, not the creator or the creators, which I have a problem with. That's why I was never going to be signed. And in my meeting with those individuals, I actually stated that it would never be signed. I would never sign away my son's rights. I would never have your child sign away their rights. I would never have you sign away your rights. You need to know exactly what this legal jargon was or is before you just send it home. That's unfair to the parents as well. You just send something home because the parents are now trusting in you to look out for the best interest of their family, their child, the student as well, and the students as a whole, or all of Sarasota County, or whatever county that you're in. Parents would expect the administrators and educators to look after their son or daughter, or sons or daughters. It's simple. Your job is to educate. You are to teach. You are to give something to these kids, not take it away. So in our meeting, I basically try to give a remedy because I said I would never sign this. I would never sign this. It was mentioned about having a permission form. That was a remedy. The remedy was a permission form. How about these kids give the school board or the school, and so basically the kid allows the school to use their work, but there has to be a permission form. There has to be an agreement between the school and the kids. The kids have their own rights. You, which would be the school, then can use it for showing purposes, viewing purposes, promotional purposes. You can do whatever you want with it for a limited amount of time, but you don't take the rights away. Over here, this thing that came from Booker High School is trying to take all the rights away from the kid. And I'm not going for that. I wasn't going for that. So I requested a meeting with Sarasota County and Booker High School. I requested that meeting. And leaving that meeting, it was also said that, okay, we'll get rid of this contract. Well, guess what? It resurfaced. Guess who said we'll get rid of this contract? We'll get rid of it and we'll try to come up with. I don't know what they were coming up with, because apparently if I said I'm never signing a contract that says you're giving away the rights of, or you're giving away your own rights, I don't even know why you come up with another contract that says the same thing. Why would you even do that? Why don't you come up with a permission form where these kids allow you, the school, or the school board to use their work and they control what happens to it? Don't give this excuse. I mean, I got at least 7 excuses from the teacher. This is why I don't trust, because I got 7 excuses from the teacher, and it went all the way to liability. What does liability have to do with anything that I just read? If someone gets hurt on the set, then you'll be liable. If you sign a contract, the school board will cover you. Do I have any people that deal with insurance out there? because that contract had nothing to do with insurance or liability to anything. It came with taking the rights away from the kids. Just that simple. So let's fast forward to, after that meeting, we thought it was pretty decent. We had several people in there. So there's not one person sit there and say, I'm telling the field. There was several people in that room, and several people I trust that was actually in that room. And they were not necessarily on the side representing Booker High School. Okay? Let's state those facts as well. So, but as we tried to figure out what would happen if we didn't sign this early on, like that Tuesday when school first started, well, I found out what happened a few weeks ago. On Friday, November 15th, I went in, I had a conversation with John Tempe, which is the teacher of the class, and Rachel Shelley, which is the principal of the high school, about 45 minutes or so in the hallway. And because I wanted some papers back, because they tried to like dupe somebody into signing something that was actually not true. It was supposed to be a Stephen King contract, which Stephen King name was not on the contract, but I had someone go sign it for me since I was not able to make it. And it seemed like it was a matter of grave importance that I, the only parent in the school, had to be contacted. That's fine. So I got somebody there, or right away, that would take care of it. And it was signed, but it was also shown to me after it was signed. And no, it was not. It didn't say Stephen King name on it at all. Okay? Here's another trust factor. When you say some stuff, you need to be truthful. You need to be truthful. So this is where I'm finding that the truth game is not at Booker High School. It's not coming from the top. I'm sorry. It's not coming from the top. So that day I said I wanted those forms back that were signed. Also, part of the conversation was Michael has to have, this contract signed to be part of the filming group now, or that's what somebody's being told. Like, okay, well, I'm not signing that. What can I do? Let's find out a situation, a solution. We got to remedy the solution so my son can still be a part of something he has been part of for 7+ weeks as the assistant director. Yeah, it's pretty high role, assistant director. Well, I left out after our conversation. I left out and I signed on the back of a piece of paper, Mr. Hawthorne, give permission for my son to participate in the filming of Talking Teddy the film. Cool. And the principal said, well, I have to see if this is approved. I said, wait. Let me make this thing clear. You, the principal at Booker High School, you need to seek permission from some outside entity, outside source that is not an educator about this, that can dictate what happens in a curriculum, dictate and control what happens in a curriculum, kick a kid out of and off of their set, and you have no say about this. So you have no say about what happens. Well, I have to seek permission. I wanted to double check before I left. So I kind of left kind of optimistic. What I would say, less than 2 hours and 12 minutes later, I got a call saying, sorry, Mr. Hawthorne, Doug Cherry, their outside source of information, or confidant, or whomever, said that my consent form for my son to participate at Booker High School in a film project that he's already been on and been in and been places was not suffice. That's what the principal told me. Shortly after that, she spoke with my son, where in essence, my son was stripped of his title of assistant director and basically kicked out of the film group. Yeah, kicked out of the film group. Why? Well, he needs to have a contract signed. Now, when you sign up for a curriculum at a public high school, what contract needs to be signed? A work for hire. A work for hire / assignment of copyright. I've given remedies for this situation. I've shown about the Tisch School of the Arts from NYU, how they've instituted a policy that they have a student ownership policy. This is the number 2 film school in the United States. Right. That information has been given as well. Yet, they still went along with it. And it's the principal at the high school that executed this. If your job is supposed to be protect the kids, why is my kid now feeling isolated? He's not able to participate in group projects anymore for a grade. He's now isolated where he doesn't work anywhere. Yesterday was the first day. Yesterday, he came home and he said he really feels out of place now. Everybody's in there talking about the work assignment that they're working on. He doesn't have anything to talk about because that other part is a group. You've now actually stripped my son of his simple rights as a student for your greed and your selfishness. So just to summarize, give you a brief timeline of all the events that have taken place, the majority of them, the hot points. Tuesday, August 13th, that's when the syllabus was rejected by the teacher. We signed the syllabus, but since we didn't have this back part signed, he rejected it, saying, hold on to that. Later on that day, we tried to figure out what was happening, what would transpire. He said he needed to huddle with Lori Burton. This is Tempe. Tempe said he needed to huddle with Lori Burton, Rachel Shelley, and the district attorney. This is the second day of school, so agendas are already in the play. August 14th, Wednesday, the next day, I went to Sarasota County School Board to alert them of this situation and of this thing that was being peddled around, this assignment of copyright and work for hire agreement. That I was also told that somebody there is at that school is being a little overly ambitious. This was reported by somebody at the school board. September 23rd, the meeting that I requested happened on September 23rd. After weeks of different things being said to my son, or denials of this or what have you. Okay? Had a meeting. We addressed all the factors that I had at that time. All the issues. Which the biggest one was this. Okay? And I think someone decided they wanted to try to take ownership of it, which was the principal. Well, I think it's partially my fault because of some other stuff. Yeah, it's your fault? Okay, well, accept it and take it as your fault. However, by the time we left that meeting, this thing right here was, for all intents and purposes, was supposed to be gone. Kapoosh. Somehow it reappeared. November 15th, it was executed. My son was stripped of his assistant director title and basically kicked out of his filming group and isolated in the film program that he chose Booker High School to go there for. The next day, November 16th, I requested a detailed description, a written description of explaining why my son was removed from his group to the principal. We are 18 days later. I still have not received one yet. Okay? So December 2nd comes around, which was yesterday. My son expresses deep hurt, feeling isolated in the class. Kids are talking about what they did on through the break about the project. He didn't have a project to work on. He didn't feel like he was even part of the class. December 3rd, which is today, I am still waiting on a written description from the principal. One, I'm not signing anything that's taking away anybody's rights, especially kids' rights. They're little creators. They're little inventors. They're little thinkers. Why would you do such a thing? And work for hire agreement? What's the agreement? Because we didn't agree to this agreement. Now you feel like you can do my son a certain way? I want to tell everybody. When what happened on November 15th, when Rachel Shelley executed that phone call and basically terminated my son from his spot and his position in the film class and kind of like just isolated him because she took, what is in her words, she made decisions aligned to the school board's designee, attorney, or that person's recommendations. I was trying to help in this situation. I was trying to give solutions in this situation. Now, if this person doesn't deal with education, why are you talking to this person? I have a background in this. The law is the law. Whether it's for my son, somebody else's daughter, somebody else's son and daughter, the law is the law. You also said that you were in uncharted waters with doing this. Well, I would say this: don't be a guinea pig with our kids. Don't be a guinea pig with our kids. Because right now you run up on somebody that I saw you're wrong from a long time ago. I saw how this thing was playing itself out. I saw what happened when we refused, or when you all refused to accept our signed syllabus because this back portion was not agreed upon. You say it's an agreement. So if you disagree with this, we're in agreement that we don't agree. But what you're trying to do now is force this down the throats of the families and the kids, which is not right. So by being in uncharted waters, you should figure out how deep this water is, if it's shark infested, before you decide to get in it. Don't play with the kids. Don't play with the families. I've mentioned this before, and I'm sure other people have heard me say this. I don't play around when it comes to kids. I don't play around when it comes to harming families. Well, guess who's on the end of this boat right here? Or stick? Me and my son. So I'm speaking for the entire Sarasota County. I'm speaking for the entire state of Florida. I'm speaking for all of the designers, all of the students, all of the parents around. This is not acceptable and will not be accepted. You will not force these kids to sign a piece of paper for some greedy purpose and some selfish purpose. Yeah, it was mentioned about the, what is that? Into the Storm, the documentary. Well, yeah, it made it to the bright lights, almost. And now people feel that they can gain some kind of financial edge off of the backs of these kids. Why is that? Now I'm going to tell you the little information that I do know. When you have people sponsoring and donating things, you're not supposed to then turn around and try to make money off of it. Maybe y'all should research that too. I was only trying to help. I was trying to give remedies. Allow these kids to keep their rights. Remove this contract. Why would you put a contract on anybody entering this film and animation program or curriculum? I would utter to every child in Sarasota County, Manatee County, the surrounding counties, if you saw something like this, every parent, do not let your child sign it. This is from a professional in this field. Again, rights are restricted. I'm sorry, taken away. Another thing that the principal at Boca High School said, she was sad that we didn't reach a compromise. We were unable to reach a compromise on the work for hire agreement. Either you agree or you don't agree. That's the compromise. I'm trying to give you alternatives versus having you kick a kid out of, or listen to someone tell you to kick a kid out of, or damage a kid by kicking a kid out of a program they just honestly and innocently wanted to just be in. If you claim you're here to help the kids, you will look out for the kids. Now this thing has a financial attachment. This contract has a financial attachment. If not, people wouldn't be working so hard to get it signed. What is the next big thing that these kids can create that somebody else can profit off of? It was also said, well, if he wanted to use his work or the work that he's doing and all, if you want to use it for a portfolio or what have you, all he has to do, or your son and daughter have to do, is come ask us and we'll give them permission. Freeze right there. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? That your son or daughter has to ask permission to use the work or movie, video, animation that they created? Does that make any sense? I'm going to sit right here and hope that anyone listening to this flushes that through their brain real quick and listen one more time. If you have a school saying, and this came out in our meeting on September 23rd. When I keep referring to our meeting, in the meeting I said it was September 23rd. We're now in December. Okay. Well, if the kid wanted to use this, and I heard this recently from when the school board called me talking about some things they were trying to get me to agree upon. What language would it take for me to get my son to be part of the group? My thing was, I never wanted my son to be exiled from the group. You making statements like you're helping the kids, you're protecting the kids. If you want to protect the kids, give them their rights. That's protecting the kids. Now, what needs to happen now is that the kids need to be protected from you. You became the predator and they're the prey in this situation. Let's do a little educating yourself on your job. Your job is to empower young people. Your job is to help families. Your job is to help create the next world leaders. At least that's what we think. That's what we think as parents. But right now I have a difference in opinion on that one. Because right now, there's a parent right now looking to protect the kids. And it's the irony of it, looking to protect the kids from the schools. It's tough. I know, it's really tough. So you stop and you reflect and you think on this. You think on this situation. If this was to happen to you, your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, your best friends, children, your grandbabies, is it acceptable for someone to just say, you really want to be here in this program at this public school, you have to go ahead and just sign everything away right now? Because we want to own it. Even before you create it, we want to own it. You have no say in it. Sad. So again, I gave several remedies to this situation. None were listened to. Well, now I'm actually done talking. My son came home yesterday. My son is feeling kind of hurt because he's like excluded from everything in his classroom. Simply because of this piece of paper right here that has nothing to do with education. Has nothing to do with empowering our young people. Has nothing to do with changing their lives for the better. You simply, Booker High School, and if it's allowed through Sarasota County School Board, you're actually hurting the same kids you claim you want to help. It's a fact. You don't have to ask me. I'm telling you because I talk to my son. I see the effect. My son is now isolated in a program he chose Booker out of the 8th grade to be a part of. Now he's a senior, carries over 4-point GPA and has for the last 3 years. And this is what happens. This is what happens. So, how I feel, Booker High School used to be home. It's not home to me anymore. After November 15th and how my son was treated, I don't have any respect for those at the top or those that side with that decision to take the rights away from any kids. I don't have no respect for you. And I will tell you bluntly to your face, I have no respect for you. You are trying to profit off of our young people. Not acceptable. I requested in writing on November 16th a detailed written statement, letter, what have you, from the principal of Booker High School explaining why my son was removed or kicked off the project and basically isolated in the program. It's been 18 days and I'm still waiting. Right. It's been 17 days as of yesterday till my son got his first rubric, which is a direction of where to take his solo project. It's been 17 days. I thought you had a contingency plan. I offered up several different remedies, also getting rid of the contract, getting rid of that work for hire and assignment of copyright. But for some reason, you would rather hurt your students versus doing the right thing. So, I've said all I needed to say. Anybody have any questions, you can contact me.